love war, putting nuclear weapons on the table. The Clinton camp says that's irresponsible.
Well, what's irresponsible, George, is cherry-picking little snippets of what he said and not giving the full context of a sentence, let alone a speech. This woman was Secretary of State for 4 years, and I think the reason she's struggling in the polls in part is because people aren't really fond of that record, and she will be held account for that record. She's actually been in control of many aspects of our national security and our troops and our defense. And I think that given all of her advantages, including her super PAC and her campaign having spent over $200 million, most of it in paid advertising, one wonders, why is she not at 50, 60% in the polls? Why isn't she at 60, 65% among women? Hillary Clinton has a Hillary Clinton
But what does he
problem.
mean when he says, I love war?
I'd have to see the entire snippet there, but obviously many commanders-in-chief have made the very difficult decision to go to war. You have Hillary Clinton as Secretary of State calling a Russia reset that didn't work. She was wrong on Libya. She's wrong on Syria. She certainly was wrong in Benghazi. And I think they'll both be held to account for that. But we need to, this is why it's so important to come out of hiding, and I'm glad Mrs. Clinton has finally done that, because people deserve a conversation with the candidates. You don't just do ads against each other. And we do very few ads. Mr. Trump is on the, he was with 88, he had 88 military generals come out to support him yesterday, and he did a military preparedness town hall in Virginia, and then he was in North Carolina. You got to talk to the voters directly.
Those conversations are certainly coming. Mr. Trump has also been hitting Clinton on the Clinton Foundation, saying it's pay to play, yet front page story in the New York Times today, and a lot of focus on this contribution that his foundation made to Pam Biondi, the Attorney General of Florida. Now, the timeline is they spoke on the phone. An investigation was announced into Trump University. Trump Foundation sends a $25,000 check. The investigation is called off. If that were Mrs. Clinton, wouldn't you be calling that pay to play?
Oh, I would ask her what happened. And in the case of Mr. Trump and Attorney General Biondi, they both said that they'd never discussed the Trump University lawsuit. Mr. Trump
but they did talk on the phone at that time period.
They may have talked about anything. He has a residence in Florida, and
she asked for a contribution
to her for her reelection. He has supported many, many Republican candidates. But we do know that Mrs. Clinton, Secretary Clinton, used the State Department as a concierge for many foreign donors. That's been evidenced. You had more than half of the meetings being taken by people who gave money, and I think there's actually no comparison between a man who gives consistently to Republican candidates in the re-election, George, and a woman who is Secretary of State, had her official staff that we pay for. Bartering for position and bartering for state dinners, and just making contributions that are inappropriate. The State Department is a very busy place. We should be getting human rights for those girls and women who are disrespected around the world and not worried about foreign governments coming into.
Another big story in the news today, Roger Ailes, Fox News paying a $20 million settlement over that sexual harassment lawsuit. Lots of reporting that Mr. Ailes is advising Mr. Trump, meeting with him, going over debate prep, helping with attack lines. Is that appropriate in light of this settlement?
So I'm at Trump Tower every day. I'm the campaign manager. I've never seen Mr. Ailes there. I saw him one time for lunch recently, where he was at lunch.
But he is giving Mr. Trump advice,
well,
isn't he?
Mr. Trump, I don't know, because Mr. Trump speaks to many people on the phone during the day when I'm not there. They've known each other probably for 30 years, I would think, pre-Fox News and pre-presidential politics, no doubt.
Kellyane Conway, thanks very much.
Thanks for having me.
No problem.
All right, thank you, George. Now to that deadly hurricane